I can bet you've blown soap bubbles at some point in your life, either for fun, relaxation, or just as an absent-minded whim. But have you ever stopped to marvel at what's really happening inside that shimmering, fragile sphere? Soap bubbles are more than just playground amusement. They're an astounding microcosm of science, art, and life itself. In this episode, we're diving into the primal science of soap bubbles, a tale of beauty, fragility, and a surprisingly deep connection to the world around us. Are you ready? Let's get started. First, let's talk about what soap bubbles actually are. At their most basic level, soap bubbles are thin layers of liquid, usually water, trapped between two layers of soap molecules. This dual structure creates an ultra-thin membrane that can stretch into various shapes while holding a pocket of air inside. Simple? Yes. But dig deeper, and you'll find that these tiny spheres reveal some of the most intricate and unexpected aspects of physics, chemistry, and life itself. Let's tackle geometry first. You've likely noticed bubbles almost always form into spheres. There's no magic involved. It's all about surface tension. The soap molecules in a bubble align themselves in such a way that the surface area of the bubble is minimized. Why spheres? Well, a sphere is the shape that uses the least amount of surface area per given volume of air. Nature inherently strives for efficiency, always moving in the direction of the minimum energy state. But here's the twist. Soap bubbles are flexible. They can form into lopsided or elongated shapes, reacting to the forces around them. Blowing air into the membrane changes the bubble's geometry ever so slightly, but the sphere's tendency to minimize energy works like a rubber band, snapping the shell back into place. And speaking of forces, let's not forget gravity. It pulls water molecules to the bottom of the bubble, subtly thinning the top. It's why your bubbles might collapse faster if you're blowing them while standing up rather than lying down. Now here's something that will blow your mind. Soap bubbles aren't just passive little marvels of physics. Light enters the game, and suddenly, things get beautifully complicated. Have you ever noticed the rainbow colors dancing across a bubble's surface? That vibrant spectacle is no accident. Light interacts with the thin film of the bubble and splits into various wavelengths due to a phenomenon called interference. Some wavelengths, colors, intensify while others cancel out. The result? A swirling, ever-changing rainbow that's as fleeting as the bubble itself. If you're thinking this sounds poetic, you're right. Scientists and artists alike have studied soap bubbles for inspiration. Painters have tried to reproduce their iridescence, and their fleeting nature has served as a metaphor for life's ephemeral beauty. But bubble science goes beyond just aesthetics. It plays an important role in studying surfaces and liquids. In fact, entire fields of research, including fluid dynamics and material science, owe some of their discoveries to the humble soap bubble. And let's not forget sound. Believe it or not, blowing bubbles can even teach us about acoustics. Tiny vibrations on a bubble's surface cause faint sound waves. Think of it like a drum with water and soap instead of taut skin. Scientists have observed these miniature symphonies to better understand wave patterns, air pressure, and even how sound travels through liquids. Another interesting angle? Soap bubbles help us explore time. Sounds odd? Let's explain. Have you noticed that bubbles only last briefly before popping? On average, a soap bubble lives for mere seconds, and that too depends on environmental factors like humidity and air currents. A bubble's lifespan is dictated by the evaporation of water inside its film. As water molecules leave the bubble, the membrane weakens until it ruptures. Yet in those short-lived moments, a bubble mirrors existence itself, beautiful, fragile, and finite. Another fascinating fact: cutting-edge science uses bubbles in practical applications. Researchers have been experimenting with soap films to develop lightweight materials and even solve math puzzles. Plus, scientists studying the mechanics of soap bubbles are currently revolutionizing medicine. From targeted drug delivery to advanced diagnostic techniques, microbubbles, tiny versions of soap bubbles, are opening doors we never thought possible. And then there's the environmental aspect. Did you know that studying soap bubbles plays a role in climate modeling? Those frothy ocean waves on windy days are essentially collections of bubble materials. Observing their formation and breakdown helps scientists understand how gases, like carbon dioxide, transfer between the atmosphere and water bodies. This knowledge is crucial in predicting climate changes over time. Still not impressed? Here's a celestial twist. Soap bubbles even have ties to space science. The way bubbles act in microgravity has fascinated astrophysicists and engineers alike. Experiments aboard the International Space Station study how bubbles form and behave in zero gravity. These studies are essential for understanding fluid dynamics without the interference of Earth's gravity. Not bad for something you'd ordinarily just pop with your finger, right? But let's zoom back to Earth for a moment. Did you know the familiar tools for blowing bubbles, the wands, loops, and triangles, actually rely on clever math? When you dip and stretch a loop in soapy water, its enclosed structure changes into intricate shapes when pulled through the air. Each form that arises, a film, a sphere, has its roots in math-intensive physics called minimal surfaces. These are surfaces that balance out the tension evenly to create the smoothest, most symmetrical shapes possible. And then there's the social aspect. Soap bubbles, believe it or not, have been part of human culture for centuries. Artists in the Renaissance painted children blowing bubbles, indicating its long-standing symbolic connection to the fleeting nature of life. Meanwhile, modern-day cities host bubble flash mobs, using this seemingly simple object as a tool for play, art, and protest. This universal appeal cuts across gender, age, and cultures, a timeless symbol of innocence and joy. So, next time you encounter a soap bubble, take a moment to appreciate the universe it reflects, both literally and metaphorically. This little sphere is so much more than it appears, a concoction of physics, chemistry, light, sound, math, history, and art, all rolled, or rather blown, into one. And that, dear viewer, is the ephemeral life of a soap bubble. Fleeting, fragile, and full of wonder. Thanks for joining me on this colorful journey today. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video to take your friends down this soapy rabbit hole.